Hi, my name is Leanne, and boy, do I have an extraordinary story to share. But before I continue, please like and subscribe. I had a really happy childhood as the only daughter of two loving, wealthy parents. We lived in a beautiful mansion with huge gardens, a pool, and practically a zoo in the backyard. My parents would take me traveling with them around the world, and my favorite thing to do was taking pictures. Everywhere I went, the camera went with me. Life was great until one day it took a tragic turn. When I was 8, we were on our private jet to the Bahamas when suddenly the plane started shaking violently. The pilot and other crew members were shouting and running about, and I just knew something was very wrong. Minutes later, I felt a strong blow and everything went black. I opened my eyes when I felt something wet on my face. I nearly died of fright when I saw that it was a gorilla licking me. I thought she wanted to eat me. I ran away from there like a bullet. But after running around in circles a few times, I realized something. I was stranded on some deserted island. I had no idea what happened to my parents, and I felt really alone and afraid. I was terribly thirsty and tried drinking the seawater, but it was so salty, I spat it out instantly. Just then, I felt a hand on my shoulder. Well, not a human hand, because it was the gorilla again. I was about to flee when I saw her offering me a coconut. I gulped down the coconut water greedily. Thank you. That's when the most incredible thing happened. The gorilla took me by the hand and led me with her. I felt so scared, and my heart was beating like crazy. The gorilla stopped and brought my hand to her chest. She actually calmed me down. I smiled slightly, and I swear she smiled back. We arrived at a forest clearing with a beautiful waterfall, and I gasped. There was a whole herd of gorillas of all sizes. They welcomed me, and over time, I became one of them. I walked like them, ate like them, and even started communicating like them. Life was good. And as years passed, I began to forget my previous life. There was only one problem: Grumpy. He was my older gorilla brother, who clearly hated me. He was always daring me to do dangerous things and setting up traps for me. But luckily, Mom always came to the rescue. One time, though, he went too far. He dared me to step on a thin branch to reach some fruit. The branch snapped under my weight, and I fell to the ground, seriously injuring myself. When I woke up, Mom was holding me and sobbing. They laid me on a mattress of leaves and gave me coconut water to drink. I recovered over time, but I found out that the herd had kicked out Grumpy for his mischief. One day, we heard a loud, strange sound, and we all went running out to the forest. To my shock, I saw something familiar. A helicopter was landing on the island. 4 people got out, and I saw 2 of them had weapons, which they were pointing straight at us. Terrified, all the gorillas started running away. But just then, I saw one of the men pointing a gun directly at Grumpy, who was all by himself. I dashed forward and stood with open arms between Grumpy and the man. At that moment, I heard a really familiar human voice. "Leanna, is that you?" "Oh my God, don't shoot! She's my daughter!" Oh my God, she was my mom. Mom ran towards me and hugged me tight. "Leanna, remember me, baby? 10 years ago, we had an accident, and we've been looking for you ever since. Oh, I can't believe it." "I'm Dad, Leanna. We never gave up hope. And here you are, all safe and sound." I knew who they were, and I could even understand them. But I'd just forgotten how to speak like them. Ooh, 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 ooh. They looked at me like I was crazy. But then, they started leading me away to the helicopter. When I realized they were taking me with them, I pulled back. They gently kept telling me I had to come home with them, but I refused. But they weren't willing to leave without me. One of the men picked me up while I bit, kicked, and screamed. My gorilla family rushed forward to help me, but he just put me in a cage and the helicopter quickly lifted off the ground. Mom joined me inside the cage and held me close as I cried and fought. But I tired myself out and fell asleep. And just like that, after 10 years, I'd been found and was back with my loving parents. I should have been happy, but it wasn't that simple. I only knew life in the jungle now. My parents tried to return me to normal, but I continued to behave like a gorilla. I ate like one, scratched myself, and slept on the floor. That's when my parents decided to get me a tutor, Mr. Drotair. And he looked like a mean old man.
I train and teach brats for a living. I'm sure I will succeed with you too. For everything you do well, I'll give you a banana. And for everything that you get wrong, well, you'll see.
That man made my life miserable, and my parents had no idea. Anytime I did something wrong, he went mental and screamed at me. He'd make me stand with my face towards the wall for hours while he kept calling me a stupid savage. Oh, I just hated him. But I tried to learn fast so I could get rid of him. After months, when I joined my parents one day for breakfast, they couldn't stop staring at me. I was perfectly dressed, with my hair combed, and I was eating with a spoon. When I asked my mom to pass me the sugar in perfect English, both of them burst into tears and started hugging me.
Oh, Leanna, you look so pretty.
Just perfect. Now that you're back to your old self, love, it's about time we sent a press release announcing your safe return. So many people helped us look for you and prayed for you. They will be so happy to hear the news, and we shall organize a grand party in your honor. I was glad to see my parents so pleased with me, and a party sounded nice. A few days later, Mom took me to the mall to shop, and I was so surprised by everyone's reactions when they saw me. I didn't even know I was famous. Crying women hugged me and Mom and said they were so happy for us. People asked me to take pictures with them and wanted my autograph. It was crazy. I felt overwhelmed by everything, but I stayed quiet and smiled for the cameras. But the truth was, I really missed my life on the island and my gorilla family. On the day of the party, I had hairstylists and makeup artists working on me for hours. I wasn't even allowed to eat much because I had to fit into some ridiculous ball gown. Okay, it was beautiful, but I was starving. As I walked down the stairs, I was suddenly blinded by the flashes of so many cameras. I felt like a wild animal in a zoo, with people gasping and staring at me. Just then, Mom came forward and took my hand. "Smile, sweetie. Everything's okay. You're doing great." I tried to reply, but I couldn't. I just wished I was anywhere but here. Suddenly, a boy whisked me off to dance, and he kept talking nonstop. And then another boy asked me to dance, and then another and another. I was beginning to feel nauseous. As I stopped to rest, a pompous-looking lady walked over to me, along with Mr. Drotair. Gosh, why was he even invited?
Oh, how can anyone be so beautiful? Everyone said you were a wild beast. People really love to gossip, don't they, Mr. Drotair? You've taught her right.
Oh, yes, I have. Miss Leanna is my star student, and she has turned out even better than I expected.
Well, darling, I'd like to introduce you to my son. He has a very good heart and a very big pocket. I'm sure your parents will be so pleased if you two hit it off.
I don't know if it was her shrill voice or Mr. Drotair's evil smile, but I just exploded. Literally, the buttons on my dress started to pop. One of them hit the screaming lady straight in the eye, and I felt pure joy. One by one, I took out all the hairpins that were practically stuck in my brain and let my hair go loose. And like the gorilla that I am, I jumped onto one of the hanging lamps, making sure to kick Mr. Drotair on my way up. From the lamp, I jumped to another and then leapt onto the stairs. I turned around and mouthed, "I'm sorry," to my shocked parents, and left. As I burst out of the hall, I ran headfirst into someone and fell down. As he helped me up, I saw he was the most gorgeous guy. He introduced himself as Rocky, the chef for the party tonight. "Oh, I would have loved to taste your food, but I won't be attending the rest of that party." As my stomach loudly growled, just at that moment, Rocky asked me if I'd like to join him for a private dinner. And, well, I couldn't say no to that dreamy face. It was the most amazing time I'd had since I'd returned. Rocky was funny and sweet, and being around him felt so easy. Of course, the news of the disastrous party was everywhere. My parents didn't say much to me, but I knew they were disappointed and embarrassed. I decided I wouldn't be seeing any people for a while, except Rocky, whom I'd started seeing quite often. Even though being around him made me feel happy, I couldn't keep ignoring how much I missed the jungle. and I decided to talk to my parents. But before I could, they came to me one day and said they had something to show me. We're not sure if you remember, but before the plane crash, you used to love photography. We thought this would cheer you up. And on all the walls were framed pictures that I'd taken as a kid. On the other side of the room, there were cameras, tripods, lights, basically my very own studio. Wow, you guys, this is amazing! Thank you! I really love you both so much, and I know you'd do anything for me. But
what? Why are you unhappy?
I told him that I missed my gorilla family and my life on the island terribly.
But they are monkeys, and you are human.
Mom, they are gorillas, and they took care of me as their own, and I love them. Leanne, sweetheart, what do you want to do? I want to go back. Mom burst into tears and protested and fainted. But Dad supported me, and after much talking, they both seemed to understand that going back was the right thing for me. And now I had another very hard goodbye to say. I told Rocky that I'd be leaving, and he looked stunned.
Leanne, you're just breaking my heart. Maybe I can come with you. I mean, I could try.
Oh, Rocky, I couldn't ask you to do that. You belong here. You're a brilliant chef and will go on to do amazing things. I know it. And I will never forget you. With tears in his eyes, he pulled me in for a long kiss, and fireworks exploded in my head. I ran off and didn't look back. When I landed on the island, I was so afraid my gorilla family wouldn't even recognize me. But they came running straight at me and knocked me over with their hugs. I was so happy to see them. Weeks later, I saw a boat coming onto the shore one evening, and I nearly fell back in shock to see that it was Rocky. Oh my God, what are you doing here?
You were wrong, Leanne. I don't belong there. I belong wherever you are.
And now, yes, the end of the story has arrived. At least for you. For us, this is just the beginning.